right, we're going to go ahead and get started. And then if anybody else hops on, then can catch up with us. So first, I want to thank you guys for coming out this evening. This is going to be our very first webinar in a series of webinars that we plan to do to be able to expand real estate knowledge in the area and help everybody reach their goals. So welcome to How to Create Transformational Wealth Through Chattanooga Real Estate. We are going to be covering these topics today, pretty self-explanatory. We'll be focusing on Chattanooga itself specifically, the things that we can offer to help. We are TNG Homes, and we have a lot of real estate experience in a lot of different things. We are a very investor-friendly team with a lot of investment experience, and we do all sorts of real estate investment things, as well as commercial and residential and other things, of course. Here you can see in our services, we do house selling and our home buying. And one new thing that we are offering is our short-term rental co-hosting that enables you to be able to enjoy the benefits of having your Airbnb, Vrbo, and we can be your boots on the ground to help you get those day-to-day things done. And it can be so much less of a hassle so that you can enjoy your profits without a lot of the stress. And then, of course, what we do the most of are investing with buying and selling. So we can help you to purchase a property and also to sell it whenever the time comes. So why Chattanooga specifically? We have had a lot of population growth. If you look on the statistics from just last year, Hamilton County saw almost a 4% increase in population. Also, the state has very low property taxes and the state income tax is non-existent. So that makes it very friendly to those who are looking to move here. Standard homeowners insurance is also a fantastic option for those moving here. Now, Chattanooga area, we're seeing that it is a rather hybrid market. So you can get two different things for your investment. You have the appreciation, which happens over time. And you can see in our figure that we have here that we have had about a 3%, a little bit higher than that, increase in just the appreciation in the houses in the area. And then, of course, there's cash flow. We have been able to still find cash flowing properties in the area and been able to help our investors to find profitable properties. Also, you see a lot right now in lots of other states is that they've been having difficulties for landlords and certain rules that are in place, especially with things like squatters' rights. And Tennessee is actually a very landlord-friendly state, so we have not been having near the same amount of issues that some other states have been having. Here is our historical graph, as you can see. We did have a huge jump in home sales prices in the area, and that's pretty nationwide, but this is Chattanooga specific. And we've got that really huge jump, and then things have kind of settled out from there at that 3.8 and 3.4%. So for Chattanooga, there are a couple different reasons why people tend to look at this area specifically. First is that we have fantastic internet. It's called Gig City for very good reason. Our fiber optic network is very powerful. Just to give you an idea, like AT&T fiber optic, you get about 5 gigabytes. Here, EPB offers 25 gigabytes per second. We are the fastest internet in the United States. So that attracts a lot of people who are in tech fields and those who are looking for those high internet speeds because we offer them. For tourist attractions, we have a whole bunch of those. We've got Ruby Falls, Rock City, the Tennessee Aquarium, just to name a few, but there's a whole lot more. And then we've got our outdoor recreations. Chattanooga is along the Tennessee River, so you've got water sports. Chattanooga itself has over 150 miles of hiking trails, all within 15 minutes of downtown Chattanooga. So you have people that are looking for that outdoor recreation coming to visit, coming to live, because it's such a beautiful place. On the side here, you can see the most popular investments in our area is our BRR or BRR, long-term rentals, short and mid-terms, flips, of course, house hacking, and then we also have off-market and wholesale deals. So there are a ton of different investment options for Chattanooga. This here is from the Tennessee Chamber of Commerce in Chattanooga, and this shows our largest employers in the area. And you can see we have some pretty big names. We have Blue Cross Blue Shield. We have Volkswagen here. McKee Foods. They make the Little Debbie cakes. We've got lots of universities, lots of healthcare options, EPB that runs the internet, and the Coca-Cola bottling company. They also have quite a few. This area has been growing majorly in terms of jobs. So there is a huge job market here. Also, the unemployment in Chattanooga is about 3%, which is 1.1% lower than the national average. And the entire state of Tennessee is about 3%. So right now we're going to go over just a couple of slides from purchases that we have been able to assist our clients to be able to achieve. We will go over those. So the first one is Prince Drive. This was purchased for a client who was moving from out of state. They needed help finding a residence before they started a new job, and we were able to help them find this. We were able to negotiate seller concessions for repairs and renovation, and also get concessions to buy down the interest rate of the house and make this a seamless transition that our client was able to get in and get comfortable before starting their new job. Dan Davis Road, this one went under contract in less than 24 hours. It was over asking price, and we were able to negotiate a very good closing date that was able to give our sellers plenty of time to be able to move comfortably and not be rushed. So this is an exciting new property that we've been able to get under contract. And as you can see, there are 4 townhomes. We have fantastic relationships with builders in the area, and this is one that they were able to sell these townhouses in a bundle. So it's 4 units all together, brand new, comes with home warranty, which is fantastic. They are cute little residences, and we were able to negotiate for about $240,000 for each unit, and then renting, they'll go for about $2,150 a month. So they will be cash flowing immediately. That is very hard to find these days. So we're very excited about that one. Now, this one looks very rough from the picture. This one is a flip that is currently in progress. It is in a highly, highly sought after neighborhood in Highland Park. This was a major multiple offer situation that we were able to negotiate to beat out all the other offers to be able to get this residence for our client. Now, this one has about $90,000 worth of renovation that it's going through. And whenever it is finished, the client is projected to make around $70,000 profit from this particular home. Also, it has a little attic space that was 400 additional square feet that, because we have the eye that we know what to look for in investment properties, we were able to identify that as potential square footage to increase the house. So that space is going to be finished, adding an additional 400 square feet to this home. So for Chattanooga specifically, long-term rentals is one of the very best ones to get. They're pretty easy to find. You can get them in all classes of neighborhoods. You want to look around the $115,000 to $300,050 price range, and clients tend to see pretty good returns on those. Obviously, you want to analyze each and every property to make sure that your numbers work. And for this area, property managers also tend to suggest that you want to have hard surface floors, whether it be hardwood or LVP, just something very pet friendly, and also fenced yards. That tends to be something that renters have been looking for. So short and midterm rentals. On Airbnb, we have ranked as number 3 for short-term rentals. You tend to have some pretty standard rent numbers. You can see our graph here of about how much nightly rate it goes for. Now, permits are required in the city limits with proper zoning. It's not impossible to find short-term rentals. It is a little bit difficult, but we have been through many, many transactions and can help go through the process and make it as easy as possible to get those things going. Also, outside of city limits and even outside of the county, there are lots of other options for short-term rentals. You've got Lake Chickamauga, Rising Fawn, all these other places that you can see from the map. It's pretty spread out as to all the different options that you have for short-term rentals. Also, midterm rentals. Midterm rentals do not follow under the same short-term rental rules in the city and the county, and they tend to also have very good returns. You have people like traveling nurses that, especially having furnished rentals is fantastic because they're able to move there, do their job, and then be able to move on. Also, people who like to just go around, the digital nomads, they tend to also come through Chattanooga. So those furnished rentals are definitely something we're seeing very good returns on. So for the home buying process, this is what the steps that you would go through. We have our initial consultations that you usually speak with one of us, and we go through the very basics and get to know you and what you're looking for your real estate goals. And then we start hunting for you. We start looking for those properties that fit those needs that you have. We also have our weekly newsletter that goes out that has deals on it that you can look through. We have a client portal, which is very beneficial. You can look at all sorts of city data, crime statistics, school zones, all sorts of things that you can have access to. And it's all conveniently in one place, so you don't have to keep flip-flopping around trying to find the information that you're looking for. We also actively look for houses for you. Anytime that we see deals that come across our desks, we immediately get on those and send them out so that you can be one of the first to take a look at them. So after we find the house that you're looking for, we go under contract, and we can help you find people and help set up the inspections, negotiate down if there are some additional renovation costs that may not have been seen in the beginning, get the appraisal taken care of, and then closing. And then after closing, you still have access to our client portal for a year. And then also on our team, it's not just, you bought a house and then you're done. We take very great care to always be here for any questions that you have, even after closing, to be able to help you to be successful with your real estate. We can answer questions and we can put you in contact with people that can help you. So our keys that we have for being a good client, loan pre-approval is a very important one. That one can make the process so much easier. It can make getting under contract happen more quickly because they're looking to take you more seriously as a buyer. Also, if you are going to be purchasing with cash, having your proof of funds is also good to have ready to go. That way, as soon as that property comes that you're looking for, you can immediately act on it. Seller, if you're selling the house, getting those details to us so that way we can help market your property as well as we possibly can and show how your property stands out from among the rest. Responding to your agents as quickly as possible, of course, always the best thing. And responding to especially e-signatures, very important. That way we can get those documents to the people that need them so that way we can get things under contract. This is a little bit more about us. So last year we had 96 transactions with over $25 million in sales, and we have even bigger goals for this year, and we are working hard to achieve them. We have a lot of experience between all of us. We definitely have seen a lot in the real estate investing world, and we are always looking to share our knowledge and information with everyone that we come in contact with to be able to help everyone reach their goals as best as they possibly can. We have systems and technology put in place in order to make the process as easy as possible for our buyers and sellers. That way you don't have to deal with as much of the hassle. We try to take as much off of you as we possibly can. We promise to educate and inform our clients. We are not going to just leave you out there to figure things out on your own. If you have a problem, we can help solve it. If you have a question, even if we don't immediately know an answer, we can find an answer. Your financial wealth is our goal. We are looking to help you as best as we possibly can. We want to see you grow just as much as anybody else. And we also promise top-notch service. We try our best to be very communicative, to be able to get back to you, to get you the information that you need to be able to make your own decisions for your properties. If you want to contact us, here is our website. We also have our email that you can reach us at. And then any one of us agents, it is our first name and then at TG Homes Chat, and you can reach us directly. And one of the most exciting things that we have going on right now is that we are starting our Master Chat Facebook group. So this is going to be a place where you will be able to talk with other people who are also investing, also people who are vendors and able to offer assistance. It's a way to be able to communicate, get help, get ideas, and just be able to discuss specifically things to this area. That way you can learn as much as possible specifically to this area, what you might need. So now we're going to open up for any questions that you might have. I know that this is kind of our basic presentation, but tonight is really about what questions do you have that we can help you with?
Hey, I had a question for you. This is Dalton. Hey, can you go back over the percentage of returns you guys are seeing in Chattanooga right now for short-term rentals?
That one?
Yeah, just go over that one more time for me if you could. Just some basic information. I missed it. I was taking care of the little one.
No problem. So you're seeing that your average nightly rate is well over $200 a night, and occupancy rate is about 54%. And those are definitely pretty good standard rates.
Absolutely. Everywhere we're at, it's about a 35% occupancy rate.
And that's in the Nashville area, correct?
We're in like the Mount Juliet, in between Mount Juliet and Nashville. So
yeah, significantly higher.
Right. Yeah. And us being so close to a big city, you expect more, but that's been good for Chattanooga.
Definitely. Well, and that's why, as you can see on Airbnb, we got ranked number 3, 2022. It's the hot market for short-term rentals.
You guys run on a different MLS than the rest of like Middle Tennessee, correct?
Correct. Run on Flex MLS.
Okay. All right.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. The annual 38K revenue, that is a net operating income or like all the rents we collect in a year? 38K.
I believe that is net, yes.
Okay, and for what size property is that for, like a 2-bedroom or?
I believe that that's just average over sizes.
I see. Thank you.
You are very welcome. Does anybody else have a question?
Hey, Aubrey, can you hear me pretty good?
Yes.
What are you seeing as some of the financing strategies that a lot of your buyers are using for acquiring some of the different acquisitions here in Chattanooga? Are familiar with my client base using everything from cash to purchase. A lot of my clients use DSCR funding. What do you see kind of the gambit, or can you speak to some of the creative financing strategies? And I see Wes Thompson on here. He's like a master of creative financing as well, who could jump in on some ideas. But what do you see typically?
So what I'm seeing a lot right now is some cash, some DSCR, and then even some conventional that is still able to work just fine.
So no subject tos or owner or seller finance, right?
Yes, finance is one. You see them every once in a while. They're definitely not as prolific, but I have come across, 2 in the last 2 weeks. So they're out there, just not necessarily easy to find.
Okay. And how about the subject to, like, in other words, not the seller finance, but a seller-owned mortgage taking over?
I know that we have seen some of those. I personally have not dealt with those. Tevin, Gina, have either of you dealt with that?
Kevin and I both did a seller finance deal last year. They're harder to come by just because you're asking somebody to take over their mortgage. Sometimes a lot of people are afraid that they're going to have a due on sale clause, or they're going to find out that the lender is going to find out that somebody else is taking over and assuming that mortgage. And so what you have to do is you have to go and look in the original loan documents to see if it is an assumable mortgage, because there actually are some that are like FHA assumable and those types of things. That being said, I have seen it done before, even when that wasn't necessarily in documentation. It's a risk that some people are willing to take, but we've done some subject to. It's just hard to find people who are willing to do that because they understand that they're also carrying that loan, and that can still, show up on credit scores and those types of things when they do try to go find another loan in the future. So we do come across them, but it's not as frequent.
Okay, thank you.
One question I had, thank you for pulling this presentation together. I found it very helpful. Have you seen anything change in terms of one kind of phrase I see thrown around there in terms of like investing and when learning your market is like path to progress. You want to try to be a little bit ahead and investing in a place where your path to progress will catch up in your 5-10 years, your property will appreciate higher than maybe the average rate of the area. What are you seeing in the past couple of years where like there are the path to progress around Chattanooga?
Gina, would you like to take this one?
Yeah, sure. So Chattanooga is still continuing to appreciate at a very consistent rate. I wouldn't say it was as rapid as the last few years, but we definitely are seeing it continue to increase. There is still a significant housing shortage all throughout the United States, but especially here. And so even though the demand is slightly decreased because of interest rates, the supply is still also low. And so that still kind of increases, maintains the cost. So appreciation has has still continued year after year. What I like to tell a lot of people is that we are Nashville like 10 years ago. So we still are able to find deals that cash flow. Sometimes, honestly, right now it is breaking even or very minimal cash flow. But we also know that a couple of years from now, market rates are going to, or market rental rates are going to go up. And then also, you're going to get appreciation and then equity in the home. So there is still most definitely a path to progress, and you will see that. I really believe in your time in the market is more important than your timing of the market, but it definitely helps if you invest in a place that is still relatively affordable, which is Chattanooga. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that answers it. Maybe just a little bit more specific into like the different suburbs of Chattanooga. Like, are there any areas that you're, if you can find a good deal in, you're like, oh, that place that I want to be in Chattanooga for like the next 10, 20 years? Like, I know like East Brainerd is kind of like that. I think I have that right. Like the areas where it's like, oh, this is a C, I can see turning into a B, maybe A one day. A B, I can see turning into an A pretty soon.
Yes. So you're right. East Brainerd is really good. The Brainerd area is also like a B, like kind of in that transitioning area, a lot of gentrification. Another place that I tell a lot of people, and like partially can't help it because I'm from Cleveland, but the Cleveland area is less discovered, I would say. And it is definitely, especially if you're in the North Cleveland area, it's about 40 minutes, by the way, outside of Chattanooga. It's class and it is rapidly growing. And it's interesting because what I have seen is I actually started trying to get people to come this way because I live in Cleveland. I actually moved here for my dream house about 5 years ago. And what's interesting is a lot of my recent buyers consults, people have specifically asked me about Cleveland. Whereas, back even a year ago, most people hadn't even heard of it. So places that I really like, Brainerd, I like East Brainerd. I love Ottawa if you can find something. It's pretty hard. Harrison, McDonald, Cleveland, Saudi Daisy. You can also find a lot of stuff because it is a little farther north. So it's more on like that suburb area. But it also depends on like what your investment strategy is, So if you're wanting short-term rentals, like obviously, there's specific areas that you want to target. So it kind of just depends on how we need to tailor your strategy to you.
Okay.
Does that help?
That's helpful.
Okay.
Yeah, I recognize a lot of those. I think I've seen Cleveland, but that's kind of up and coming. So it's good to hear that other people think the same.
Yeah, it's in between Chattanooga and Knoxville, but it's definitely has like its own little central hub. There's a university, there's a lot of industrial like stuff, but yeah, it's good. You should check it out.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions? We also have Miss Ashley Cross is a property manager, and then we also have some lenders on here, so it does not have to be specific to us. You can also ask questions that they will be able to answer.
I've got another question coming from the Nashville area again. We have seen about a rise in insurance rates, which has caused a lot of my previous buyers to have to sell because they kind of went house broke on themselves. Are you guys seeing an interest rate or not? Excuse me, not interest rate. I am so sorry. Oh Lord, now I lost it. Insurance. Yes. I hope I said that originally. Insurance rate hike. Yeah. A 20% insurance rate hike. So are you guys seeing that down in the Chattanooga area as well? Or what are your thoughts on that?
So there is definitely an increase, but it hasn't really affected many of my deals. I have we try really hard to have really good relations with a lot of different that are still, competitive. I think it's also really good to shop around. They say that you, like the average person, if you really want to save, you need to look into shopping for your homeowners insurance like every 5 years, because like I just like insurance agencies take care of the new people. Like they want to get you in, they want to like hook, line and sinker because they're afraid that they assume you're not going to go and find insurance again. I have changed insurances a few times, but it has gone up. I don't like significantly at least it hasn't affected any of our deals yet.
Okay, that's good information. I think, and just for my thoughts on it, I think in this area we've seen a lot just because we've had a lot of natural disasters in the area, causing them to lose a lot of their money in the insurance companies. And so they're jacking the rates up to catch back up. I think it's $4 to the dollar they're losing right now. So that's what I thought. And I didn't know if that was happening in Chattanooga as well.
I know it's nationwide. A lot of I talk to a lot of my clients, and a lot of times I will ask them why, what made you decide to invest in Chattanooga? Because transparently, all of my investments are in Chattanooga, or the greater Chattanooga area. And so I don't really consider investing anywhere else. So I like to ask people, what made you decide to, make the jump? And I will say recently, I've had a lot of clients from Florida because many are completely leaving Florida. Not just hiking their rakes, right, but completely exiting, not insuring any homes and properties in Florida just because of the increase in natural natural disasters. So they
Wow.
can't even get their homes insured like at all. So I know it's affecting them. Here we have seen rates go up because I think just nationwide they're going up because they're trying to obviously like, be able to generate their income in order to replenish from, paying out all of those policies, but it hasn't been too significant.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Ashley, do you want to share anything about property management in Chattanooga?
Sure. That's a big old bag of conversation topics we can talk about. If anyone has any specific questions, I would be happy to answer that. I think probably I can maybe support Aubrey in your answer to Nick's question just a minute ago, kind of saying like, what's the path to progress? And you answered really well about, and Gina too, it really depends on your investment strategy. And I would say like that's 100% of the answer. And the kind of trends that are occurring within that population start to become statistically relevant. You can kind of extrapolate that across all of Chattanooga. So I really, really dig into the KPIs and just my company because it allows me to get really gritty details for investors. So if you were to say something like, if I was to ask you what's the most important thing for you as an investor, because the key to whether or not you're going to make money is to create a really bulletproof pro forma. So a lot of times like Gina's representing a client who then comes to me and is like, hey, as a property manager, can you weigh in on some of these numbers that I'm using within my pro forma? And I'll ask that question, what is the most important thing to you? Is low turnover the most important thing to you? Is cash flow the most important thing to you? Is maybe you're going to be moving here in 5 years. And so you want something in a solid neighborhood that you would be willing to live in yourself. And so there's a different answer to every single one of those questions. If you were to say something like, where is my asset most likely to appreciate the greatest in the next 2 years? I would probably say Udawal, but there's going to be a trade-off to that. It's probably going to be one of your highest turnover locations. So if your initial question or your initial answer to my question, what's most important to you, if you said like, I don't want to deal with turnover and I don't want vacancy, then you might have to pick something where your asset might not appreciate quite as much, but you might have a little bit lower turnover. And that might be something more like East Brainerd or Red Bank. So it really does just depend. If you're looking for cash flow and you don't care about high turnover and don't need it as aggressive a kind of an equity builder, then you might do really well on something like Orchard Knob or Eastlake. I can tell you when I kind of look at the things that check the most boxes across the board. So if I'm saying like what has lowest days on market, what has kind of like highest price per square foot, maybe what has best renewal rate, for me statistically in my portfolio of managed properties, 37411, which is Brainerd, checks the most boxes across the board. And so I find that to be interesting information. And kind of like hot take is 1 bed, 1 bath is actually crushing it in the rental market right now. So I was always kind of sleeping on 1 bed, 1 bath, even as an investor myself. Like it just doesn't, I was kind of like, that doesn't feel very sexy. Who would be interested in that? But it is crushing it. It is really low days on market, really significant rent per capita when you're talking about square footage. And so that's when I wouldn't eliminate a 1 bath, especially like a small multifamily, like a complex of 1 bed, 1 bath from, the deals that you're beginning to analyze. They also have a lot of exit strategies. You can really pivot quickly on a 1 bed, 1 bath and go to a midterm or a short term pretty easily. And you have the ability to be quite nimble.
That's so good to know. P.S. I have a quadruplex that is a 1 bed, 1 bath for 3 of them and a 2-1 for the other. That's coming up. So that makes me feel really good. Thanks, friend.
Yeah, that's hot on the press. I would check with Gina about what the specifics of that are.
That's awesome.
Thank you so much for sharing. Our lenders that are on, do you guys have any comments, anything that you can share to help?
Yeah, hey, happy to hop on this. I'm this is Zach with First Bank here. Yeah, our local market's really cool. Everything that you've said on there. I mean, I have properties here. It's something that I believe in. Just what we've seen the past 5 years has been amazing. And I lend in every state but Maryland, and I go all over the country with investors. And whenever they ask me where I would park my money and where I do, it's here. It's a really strong place. We have a lot of really cool ways to attack it too. And I know you mentioned, conventional lending from the DSCR lending, portfolio products. We don't offer it, but I'm seeing more and more of this hard money lending stuff where we come in behind, after them and refi out of it. So Chattanooga is a cool market. It has all of that. And, we have a lot of great lending resources here that can kind of help you across the board, but it's definitely a market I believe in. And it's where I invest my own money, and where whenever investors ask me any that I can look, it's hilarious that our own backyard, because, we have low property taxes, we have really strong appreciation, we have the strong rental growth, that there's just a lot to like about what we're seeing here. And I would just echo everything you said. And I appreciate all this kind of a nice tidy package you put together here.
Thank you.
Aubrey, I've got a question. I'm not sure what the makeup of the folks that you've got on the call are like how seasoned versus maybe if some people are new. And so I think one of the keys to creating a really solid investment is setting really good expectations, especially in collaboration with like the real estate team and the property management team. And so I guess this is a question that I have to all of the investors on the page and then to you as an agent. When you're talking about what makes a deal a really good deal, what is the magic number that you find what your investors are typically going for? If they say like, if I can at least make fill in the blank, after debt service, all the things every month, this looks good to me. I'm really curious to hear. I get on like millions of calls, it feels like a week, and I get like a pretty decent range of expectations, but I think it's really important, that everyone's kind of on the same page, because a lot of times I find myself being like, ooh, that's kind of not a realistic expectation for cash flow. What are you guys thinking, or what's a good deal for you and as you're working with your investors?
In this market with how hot it is, anything that can cash flow is good. Break even is even considered a win at the moment. So we do see all ranges. I mean, obviously we do still try to reach like the 1% rule. That is definitely a good goal, but that one is very hard to achieve. So that's kind of like a basic one. And we are actually going to be setting up another webinar to do that's going to be more like a workshop that's going to help teach people how to run their numbers most effectively to be able to search for those properties and make sure that it can fit their needs and their budgets. So that's definitely something that we're going to be adding to and educating people on later.
For the investors in the group, are you happy with a break-even number when you're running your numbers these days?
I'm by no means an experienced investor, but for the few that I have bought, yeah, break even is a good thing. When I'm not expecting a lot of cash flow. It's really, I think Aubrey touched on it earlier. It's like buy and hold long term, hope rates come down, and then you can kind of refinance and hopefully have a bit more cash flow. But anything that I own now is just a little bit of cash flow good enough for me.
Also, don't let him fool you. Nick is a pretty experienced investor.
I just find it's hard to find anything that even comes close to break even. So when I do find something that breaks even, my eyes light up, and I usually am interested to at least get more information on it.
Definitely. No, they are difficult to find sometimes, but we are still able to find them, and that's the important thing.
Yeah, I would just to add really quick, like I have some clients who have told me like, I want a 10% cash on cash return. If I don't get that, or if I don't have a cap rate that's 9% or whatever, like I'm not interested in it. Don't even send it to me. And I mean, some of these people, I guess, if they have agents all over the United States looking for them, then probably they find something every now and then, and maybe they are okay. And patience does good things sometimes, but I've also seen people who are so stringent on wanting to make sure that they is what I almost consider a unicorn, that they keep waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and they are stringent on the numbers that they end up missing out. Like I actually there's a it's not a quadruplex, that I just got under contract for a client, came on the market, I investor, and it's a bullet. And I don't want to share much about it because I don't want to start price and all that, but like it's a market, and I said, but you have to look at it. Even if you have money into it, it's still such a good deal. And I sent it to one of my clients, and he was like, oh yeah, like I want to move, set up an offer, and it was a cash offer, like he wrote it up, cash offer, all this stuff. And then he was like, oh well, one of my partners needs to think about it and run some numbers and whatever. So we didn't sign it or anything. Meanwhile, one of my other clients, who is not quite as like, I don't have a very good word that's coming to mind right now. He was like, yeah, that sounds really good. Like, let me talk it over with the wife. And I was like, okay. 15 minutes later, he's like, let's do it. Like that sounds really good. Like, anyway, long story short, we went under contract. Not even the listing agent ended up telling me, not even like an hour later, she received 3 other offers on that property. We got through inspection and we're closing in a couple weeks. So I guess what I'm trying to say is the properties are still there. There are deals to be had. They may not be perfect or whatever, but like sometimes I feel like I've been burned though too. So you have to make sure that you are confident in the numbers. Don't just go like, guns a-blazing, because you can get burned. But looking for this unrealistic expectation, it might not happen. And if you find something that looks reasonably good, or you can make the numbers work, and even like I tell people, if you can break even now with these type of interest rates, your rental rates are going to go up. You're going to get equity in the home, and hopefully, at this point, I'm telling people not to bet on rates coming down, but hopefully they will come down.
All right. Anybody else have any questions? All right, then I guess we will go ahead and wrap it up for tonight. And just a reminder, we do have our master chat group that is going to help everybody be able to mastermind together for the area, and please join. I'm going to be putting up a poll later tonight asking what would be the most beneficial information for you to get next. whether it be about property management, lending, running your numbers, making sure that a deal is a good deal. You can let me know what you're most interested in. That way we can provide the best service to you. So thank you all for coming out and have a wonderful night.
Thank you. Good night, you guys. Wonderful job, Aubrey.
Good night.
Thanks everyone.
Night.
Bye.
Bye.